Britain Decides, an election night special on Purple Radio.
Good evening and welcome to Purple Radio's coverage of Election Night 2019. For the next 9.5 hours we'll be bringing you all the latest results, reaction, discussion and analysis, and as well as some debate from results across the country. It's been labelled the most important election in a generation, and maybe within the next 9.5 hours we'll have a sense of the direction the country will be taking in the next week, month, 6 months, year, decade. Who knows where we'll be in a few hours' time. But you'll be hopefully joining us until 7 a.m. We're on air until then. So, it's going to be a long one. We've also been asking the students and the people of Durham for their opinion. We went round a little bit earlier on today. We braved the wet weather, what even was it? It was torrential downpours. And here's a little bit of opinion from some of the students here in Durham.
I'm voting for the Lib Dems because I want to stay in the EU. I'm voting tactically at home.
Well, I'm voting at home in Northern Ireland. I will be voting for the Alliance Party. I feel like at this point the DUP have made an absolute mess of themselves, proven by the fact that they're willing to screw over Northern Ireland just to be in the pocket of the Conservatives. And I believe that Sinn Féin wouldn't really have any sort of say in any of the Brexit negotiations anyway, so I feel like that's really the only logical decision at this point.
I'm voting for the Conservative Party because it's the only way of getting out of Europe, it's better for the economy as well, and it's securing our national defence from the threats abroad.
I'm voting in Durham. I wasn't sure where to vote because both my home and Durham are Labour strongholds, but I was worried that in Durham, with things like it being quite Leave, that might sway some votes. So in the end, I decided to vote in Durham. I wouldn't vote tactically. Well, I guess that's kind of tactical, but I just think you should just vote for who you want to be in.
This is Purple Radio.
Over the last few days, the Purple Radio news team have been interviewing the candidates running for the Durham MP position. The candidates of Mary Foy for Labour, Amanda Hopgood for the Liberal Democrats, Jonathan Elmer for the Green Party, Harvey Morgan for the Conservatives, and Leslie Wright for the Brexit Party, all spoke on why they believed they would be the best candidate for the locals and students of Durham.
It would be a disaster for areas like the North East to leave on Boris Johnson's terms, which are worse than Theresa May's terms. And it's a manifesto of hope. I don't find inequality acceptable at all because it's all avoidable. And Labour have the plans to deliver this real change. We've seen with Jeremy Corbyn the growth of the Labour Party over the last few years has now made us the biggest political party in Europe. He inspires a lot of people, and in fact it's the young people who've been joining because Jeremy Corbyn offers something different.
This country is crying out for a centrist party. Most people aren't extreme in their views. I believe that's our place for the future. If we're going to say it about who brought in the tuition fees, if we had our time again, no, we wouldn't have done it. We would have stood firmer.
We have to move back to a situation where individuals go to university that their costs are covered by the whole of society. And we don't think individuals should be solely responsible for paying for that. Students become the source of income, which has had appalling effects on Durham University here.
Boris has submitted himself to scrutiny. He's been out there. He's a brilliant campaigner. And let's not forget, he's Prime Minister. He's still running the country. So, no, I don't accept that he hasn't submitted himself to scrutiny. And I think when he has done, he's performed well and looked very prime ministerial.
Boris Johnson's treaty is Theresa May's withdrawal surrender minus the backstop. And if he thinks he's going to get us out by the 31st of January any more than he was going to get us out by Halloween, I think he's deluding himself as well as the electorate.
It's 10 p.m. and you're listening to Britain Decides, an election night special on Purple Radio.
Alright then, so according to the BBC's ITV and Sky election poll, the Conservative Party led by Boris Johnson is set to win a majority in this general election. It's exactly what Boris Johnson was looking for. He's got it. The Conservatives will end up on 368 seats. The Labour Party down on 191. Remember, the Conservatives need 326 to win. So it's a very, very clear majority of over 80 seats. It's a lot more than a lot of the polls in the run-up to in the final days of the selection were projecting. Joining me now is Jack Perry. You're the president of the Durham University Conservative Association. Yes. You have been in Purple Radio in the past few weeks in the campaign. How are you feeling?
Yeah, a massive surprise. I don't think anyone particularly expected this result, but it's very good news to see. I think that the country has voted to get Brexit done and has. Fingers crossed. Obviously, the results still emerging throughout the night, but it's good news. I think in terms of moving forward and getting past the deadlock of the last 3 years.
Our friend Jack Pearce, who is here, he's the co-chair of the Durham University Labour Club. I mean, what's your initial reaction when you saw the exit poll? How did you feel?
I really didn't think it'd be as bad as it was, but in another way, I'm not surprised. I think the hope was that Labour could reset the agenda in this election from being the Brexit election to being about domestic policy. That hasn't worked, in that it has stayed the Brexit election, and I think most people have cast their votes based on Brexit.
It's 3 a.m. and you're listening to Britain Decides, an election night special on Purple Radio.
Well, you mentioned the city of Durham. The results for that are now in. Wow. We can confirm it is 11 minutes past 3 in the morning here in the Purple Radio studio. We can confirm that the city of Durham constituency has been held by the Labour Party. Mary Foy has become the MP for Durham on a 42% share of the vote. Note that is down 13.4 compared to last time.
This is Purple Radio.
What is the biggest thing that's happened tonight so far for both of you then?
So I think the biggest thing that's happened tonight is what has happened to the Labour Party, because it's really difficult for the left to recover from a result worse than that in 1983.
For me, I think the biggest moment is the realisation of how much Brexit has played a part in this. So you can see a lot of the seats that have swung have been typically areas that have been leave areas. Although a lot of things like climate change, NHS, sort of social policies have played a big role in this. Apparently, the slogan of "Get Brexit Done" has actually played quite home.